Safe skies through purposeful leadership, professionalism, and integrity is what the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority stands for. Established by Decree No. 49 of the 1999 Constitution, with the statutory responsibility of ensuring, regulating, monitoring and promotion of the safety, security, economic and reliability of air navigation in line with International Civil Aviation Organization (ICAO) standards and recommended practice (SAPs). The body commenced operations on 1st January 2000 after government undertook a reorganization of some government parastatals in the aviation industry. It became autonomous with the passing into law of the Civil Aviation Act 2006 by the National Assembly and assent of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which empowers the authority without any political interference. The mission of the Ncaa is to provide aviation safety and economic regulation in the most efficient, effective, quality, and technology-driven manner to the satisfaction and benefit of all stakeholders, consistent with the highest international standards and the sustainable development of the industry and national economy, with the vision to be one of the leading civil aviation authority in the world. Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu is the incumbent Director General of the authority, with the support of 6 directors for the smooth running of the authority. The Ncaa witnessed 9 regimes before the present administration. In 1990 to 1991, Air Commodore Kolakpo Falupe served as MD and CEO, FCAA, followed by Captain Adam Dahiru in 1991 to 1993. The third person to head the authority was late engineer Mohammed Agbabiaka from 1993 to 1995. Then, late engineer Zakara Haruna came in as the pioneer DG, Ncaa, from 2000 to 2002. Late engineer Chiziem Ephraim Onyudo served as DG from 2002 to 2003. Others are engineer Fidelis Chukwuemeka Onyeyiri, who served as DG from 2003 to 2005. The 7th person to head the authority is Dr. Harold Olusegun Demoren, 2005 to 2013, and handed over to Captain Mokhtar Usman from 2014 to 2019. Then comes Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, the present Director General, Ncaa. The Ncaa has lived up to its expectations since commencement, as the leadership of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu is passionate in sustaining as well as achieving more in the sector. Coming at a time the world was on its knees due to the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic, with aviation sector as one of the worst hit sectors by the pandemic, he quickly hit the ground running to mitigate impact of the pandemic in the sector.
It is well known the air transport and tourism industry were probably one of the hardest industry by the COVID-19 pandemic. So many countries, including Nigeria, had to shut down their industry for a considerable amount of time to really mitigate the spread of the virus across the country and across different parts of the world. Thank God we were able to come out of it. We had to put measures for shutting down the industry and reopening the industry in a very organized, safe, and calculated manner.
And I think that something that we should take great notice of in that happened during the period, I say starting from the Ministry of Aviation through the regulatory body, there was so much coordination that gave rise to partnership in the industry. They needed somebody, some agents, to pull everybody out from their own territory. But during this pandemic, what we noticed in the industry is that the industry was pulled up out of their territories, and they saw the need to come together.
His first engagement, which was on how to contain the COVID-19 pandemic, demonstrates his vast knowledge in crisis management and the onerous task to take the aviation sector to the next level.
The COVID protocols developed and implemented at various airports was a collaborative effort between various agencies, the Presidential Task Force, the Federal Ministry of Health, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, Public Health Services, in addition to Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, and also in consultation with Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. We all sat down and brainstormed over a long period of time to develop these health protocols. And I must say, what we did in Nigeria was excellent. And we're one of the first countries to have come up with those health protocols implemented at the airports. And also the entry health protocols for foreign countries to Nigeria. What Nigeria adopted, although a lot of people in Nigeria criticize it, but at the end of the day, most countries in the world, including the so-called first world countries, adopted almost word to word what Nigeria implemented.
It will interest you to know what we put in place. Also, ICAO also was grappling with what needed to be done. And then we needed to have some kind of alleviations and exemptions. Like I told you, pilots need to have simulators. There is a requirement for a pilot that within a period of 90 days, you must do 3 takeoff and landings. But if there are no flights, if there's a complete ban on operation, how do we go about this? So all of this we put into place. We had some safety risk assessments that we had to get the operators to do. And also, we also have our own exemptions to allow some what we call alternative means of compliance.
These efforts yielded results towards protecting passengers and the public from the global health emergency, as so far, no fewer than 41 advisory circulars relating to tackling spread of the pandemic have been issued by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority.
No one has operated under these conditions before, these COVID conditions, and there was a lot of confusion. But the way the Ncaa managed it, the way the DG managed it, using technology and having several online meetings where matters were discussed, views were taken, Ncaa went back, took all those views, took the regulator's view, turned it into a roadmap, came back to us, made it very easy for us to navigate.
With its headquarters successfully moved from Lagos to Abuja and the restructuring of directorates for efficient service delivery, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, under the leadership of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, is ensuring adherence to quality procedures, standards, and specifications for air safety.
One good thing that informed restructuring is about being responsive. What do I mean? We, as an organization, we have got to a level of rating whereby we now belong to the premier airline, CA worldwide. So we got ratings by ICAO, we are up there. We got ratings from FAA, So we're a category 1 nation. You know what that means is that you are up there worldwide, and if you are up, it's a challenge to sustain it. There are countries that have got it and they have been out of the place. So the challenge now for us is to continue to remain in that Premier League of CAA worldwide.
The administration of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, since assumption to office, has sustained effective oversight through safety surveillance and strengthening of superstructures so as to sustain passengers' confidence for zero accidents.
Give it to our CAA. If you're talking about safety in aviation, the Civil Aviation Authority is almost directly proportional to safety. Why? They have the responsibility to ensure safety. I find a responsible CAA here, unlike in the past, where the CAA, they were gagged. They see what is right, and they couldn't speak it. In the last 2 regimes or so, the regime have been very professional. I'm not praising them. I'm not paid to advertise them. They're doing what they should do, even though we still have lapses. As the president of Aviation Safety Roundtable Initiative, we still have some lapses, and at each time we point the lapses to them, they respond rather than ignore it.
I've told the world several times that the oversight regime the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, brings to bear on Nigerian airlines currently, not even the first world like America and Europe and others have that kind of oversight regime. So we have to be proud of what the Ncaa is doing. I'm sure the Ncaa is being moved or directed in their minds from the not so good incidents of the past, and they don't want a repeat of that. So they bring a very strict regime of oversight that's making sure that every single aircraft in the Nigerian airspace is expected to take off and land safely at all times and always. And that they've been able to achieve.
In realization of improvements in the technology associated with remotely piloted aircraft system and inherent dangers to other users of airspace and persons on the ground, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has been working on a new set of regulations for a manned aerial vehicle and remotely piloted aircraft system and drone. While the new regulations are work in progress, the authority under the leadership of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu issued advisory circular interim guideline to promote the safe and orderly development of a manned aircraft system operations within the country. Since coming on board, the administration of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu has continued to take decisive and strong approach to ensure all airlines operating within and outside Nigeria undertake safe, secure and comfortable operations while taking cognizance of passengers' complaints and discomfort by providing timely information about the nature and scope of the various complaints regarding delays, cancellations, tickets refunds, lost baggage, among others.
I want to assure the flying public that the safety record we've had over the last 8 years of non-accident will only get better as we move forward. The system will improve. We're doing all we can do with all the relevant stakeholders under the leadership of the Minister of Aviation who is implementing the government policies. We'll work with everybody to ensure that the system not only gets safer, it becomes more efficient and more effective. Of recent, there have been issues of consumer protection. We're looking into that. We ensure that all passengers are treated fairly and squarely, especially in areas when there are flight delays or flight cancellations. At this point, flight delays and flight cancellations are not peculiar to Nigeria. It happens everywhere. But I think what is important is how you deal with the passengers when these delays or cancellation happen. And we're looking into that. We ensure that full compliance with consumer rights protection as enshrined in regulations are complied with by all the passengers.
It does not pay any operator to delay, keep his aircraft on ground. As a matter of fact, aircrafts are built to fly, and it's only when it flies that the business makes money. So if there is any reasonable reason for delay, whether it is weather, whether it's any other related issue, especially safety, these regulatory agencies are very, very, very particular about safety.
On economic regulation, the authority since assumption of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu remain committed not only to the financial audits of the airlines, but to also advise them regarding their areas of economic difficulties with a view to seeing how they can be tackled effectively and efficiently. To ensure function of the economic regulation is strengthened, more training is being provided for staff of the Directorate saddled with the responsibility.
Simulator training for pilots is required for commercial pilots every 6 months, and this is to ensure that because a lot of pilot skill, you need that some things that are supposed to be instinctive. They're not something that you have time when there's an emergency. You don't have time to start thinking. You're supposed to react and do what is correct. So in these simulators, they're able to practice some abnormal and emergency procedures, which are not normally advisable to use live aircraft to, because you may lose the aircraft if the reaction is not what's supposed to be or it's not timely.
In the area of economic oversight of the aviation industry, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has continued to process, issue and renew air transport licenses and permits to ensure appropriate revenue generation. Through the established automated revenue collection platform in collaboration with the International Air Transport Association, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority has improved revenue collection, eliminates leakages, and ensure transparency.
If you want to travel by air, I think one of the core areas, if not the core area, is Ncaa. Because you need to have order and safety. Ncaa provides the communication for the airplanes, will provide the navigation so they can go from point A to B, and will provide surveillance to make sure that they don't run into each other, and we guide them to be able to operate efficiently and safely.
The Honorable Minister is doing very well in the ministry, and he have support for his key positions people like DG Ncaa, MD Fan, MD Ncaa. They are supporting the Honorable Minister and this AIB. You see, what they are bringing in the system is contributing a lot of us in our own business. That is why you see that our operation is going smooth.
We have very good relationship. Very good relationship because we are following rule and regulation of Nigerian civil aviation. So that's why we don't have any problem.
The authority under Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu intensify efforts in the certification and recertification of training organizations, conducting professional examinations for various personnel for issuance, revalidation and renewal of licenses.
For a pilot to fly, you must have a license issued by Ncaa. And for you to get the license, you must have been trained and qualified You cannot just get trained as a pilot from anywhere, be in Nigeria, in Kaduna, Zaria, or you train abroad. You cannot just go into the cockpit if you are employed by an airline. The airline will present you to us as a staff. Then you go through our own exam, give you months to read and study. We give you slab of what to study and give you the materials. When you pass the exam, they issue the license. They qualify you to start flying. And of course, that's the validity period.
In the flying school, we train pilots from ab initio, from the beginning, to CPL, which is commercial pilot license with multi-engine rating and instrument rating. We call it standard pilot course. We run it for 2 years, after which a student will graduate. And we have air cabin crews that we train to become air cabin crew that will do the air hostess services on an airplane.
And we do some other trainings that involves English proficiency for pilots and instrument recurrence.
In Ncaa, we start with them on the simulator itself. There where you get to know all the switches, you know how the aircraft flies, and when you are proficient in managing the simulator itself, and we feel that you're proficient in that, we can now transfer you to the flight line where we will now fly the actual aircraft.
This is in addition to ensuring that aviation personnel are medically fit through examinations and review tests.
On the part of our personnel and our training, we are doing a lot working closely with the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, our regulators. And in that aspect is primarily the training and the attitude to work. And our training is up to date. We did a lot recently with the certification of our airports, a lot of very important improvements in our security and safety infrastructure and architecture. So those parts are well within our means.
Under the new administration of Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu, there is high demand for air travels, a manifestation of confidence in the industry.
The patronage of and the expansion of making Nigerian airspace open, so we are having more travelers now across the country, and this is also having direct impact on the economy. So aviation prior to COVID was the second highest main factors that pushed our GDP to a greater height. And so this definitely has shown how aviation industry can impact all the socio-economic sectors of the economy.
United Nigeria Airline and Airline Group were all granted Air Operator Certificate for scheduled flight operations, while no fewer than 4 other airlines are waiting in the wings to hit the air in grand style.
United Nigeria Airline is the first COVID air operating certificate issued in Nigeria, and secondly, the first air operating certificate, AOC, issued by the current management of Ncaa led by Captain Nuhu. We are privileged. They had come into the industry with a lot of standards, very high standards, that are equal to all the international parameters that are known in the industry. No surprising, recently, Ncaa has rated Nigeria as one of the safest areas of aviation in the world.
On industrial harmony, the Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu administration brokered peace between Arik Air Management and national leadership of workers' unions.
The Ncaa under Captain Musa Nuhu, when they see, and he accepts also, that Ncaa being made up of human beings, there are bound to be mistakes too from the outside. There's always a learning process, not just for the operators, but also the regulator. And when he notices such infractions, he rises up to the situation and corrects it. So there are some people in Ncaa who believe they are lords and they can lord it over everybody, even ultra-wires, the Ncaas, the Nigerian Civil Aviation regulations. So there are people like that who try to do stuff. But the good thing is that the Ncaa stops them in their tracks. Or when the airlines bring complaints in such regards to the knowledge of the leadership, they step into it. So, but if you ask me to score Ncaa now, I'll score them 95%. I'll leave 5% to the human errors that may occur at any given time.
As part of the mandates of the authority to increase performance-based efficiency and industry harmony, Captain Musa Shuaibu Nuhu has continuously been engaging leadership of the workers' unions to engender harmonious working relationship with staff, even as training and retraining of staff remain topmost on his priority list.
The exposure of principal managers of Ncaa is such that they have so much integrity to regulation in the industry. We have moved away from the quagmire of the past, so that today one can beat his or her chest and say, we have a regulatory body that can stand shoulder to shoulder with other regulatory bodies of the world in the aviation sector.
Senator Hadi Sirka is an aviation person. He's a pilot and he's an aircraft maintenance engineer. So if I speak to him, we speak the same language, he understands. And he's an excellent politician too. So all those things come together to get the job done. And to be honest, I couldn't have asked for a better boss, because the support he has given Ncaa, I don't think any DG has had the support I get from the current Honorable Minister of Aviation. We have been able to do a lot of things because of his support. You cannot ground 10, 15 private jets that in violation without getting into serious trouble in the past. But we've done it now. We have made people comply with the law, irrespective of who you are. So he has been a great supporter of us. And a lot of the programs we're implementing, he fully supports it and helps us get the resources to implement those.
Though it is work in progress, while keeping his eye on the balls, the quintessential aviator is working to ensuring that the Nigerian air transport industry continues to retain its attractiveness for tourism and other endeavors.